talk to me. WSRadio.com.
Accomplishment Coaching is proud to present the following fine programming. Accomplishment Coaching, where coaches lead and leaders coach. AccomplishmentCoaching.com.
Welcome to the Coaching Show with your host, Master Certified Coach Christopher McCullough.
Thank you very much. It's an exciting day here. We're back live. We took a week off last week, and the reason is I had a vacation. Do you want to ask me about my vacation?
Yeah, let's hear about it. How'd it go?
Thanks. That's the dulcet tones of Clarice Connolly. You can find her at heartandsoul.coach. She is a coach, a life coach, I think in your second year of practice here in the greater San Diego area. That's America's finest city, in case you were wondering.
It is, absolutely.
She's our guest in-studio co-host. You've been here so much that you might actually be a regular. I'm not sure. And I'm not sure what's happening with our many video setups today, but if you have an opportunity, you should take a look and see how we actually look, because you can now that we have video snippets. Clarice, of course, is beautiful and fabulous, and I, of course, am old. All right, so let's talk about this vacation. Ready? First of all, we should do some shout-outs, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
We, somewhere in here, I have all the things we're supposed to say. Thank you very much. Nothing funnier than your video tech getting under the line of the video cameras. All right. Oh, so much to talk about. Number one, so the president spoke last night. We might have something to say about that. I had this vacation thing, and we need to let you know about our longtime sponsors and partnerships. We're in our fourth year of media partnership with the International Coach Federation. Here's the deal. If you don't know about the International Coach Federation, or even if you think you know, you should go check them out at coachfederation.org. We are proud to be affiliated in partnership with the world's largest organization of professional and trained coaches. The coachfederation.org site, though, is more than just an information portal for people who are not coaches. If you're a coach, or if you're thinking about being a coach, or if you should have been a coach, you should definitely check out the amazing treasure trove of information they've got there. Not only about coaching, there are tons of articles, but there's also an entire research archive. And the research is phenomenal and will support you, especially if you're looking for some things like we all often look for, like ROI for coaching, or where coaching has made a difference in culture change, or in individuals, or in solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, or major organizations. It's all there, including past Prism Award winners where they've taken coaching into organizations, including lots of amazing things. And just basic, things that you can totally use in your practice, like what is coaching and how is it different than consulting or therapy or shamanistic healing or whatever it is that people are comparing it to. The other thing that you should know about is accomplishment coaching. If you, like me, are looking for the best coach training on the planet, not the least expensive, not the most, not the most popular, not the quickest, but the best, check out Accomplishment Coaching at accomplishmentcoaching.com. They go, I don't know why you're messing with my computer. It messes me all up, makes me confused. Stop touching things. See, that's why I have to say because people interrupt me all the time. Poor me. What were we talking about? Oh, right, Accomplishment Coaching, the world's finest coach training program. Here, you do this. The world's finest coach training program is available at Accomplishment Coaching, and they do something that I think everybody should do, but nobody else does. Ready? What they do is they take you, my friend, and they will invite you to come in and observe the coach's training program in process. That's right. While it's actually going on, you're just quiet on the side, like a little observer, like a little fly on the wall. But you get to see all about coach training and what professional coach training is. It's an extraordinary opportunity, and they have it in the following cities. Are you listening? San Diego, Seattle, Washington, Washington, D.C., New York City, Chicago, Illinois, and any minute now in the great nation of Canada, which is our northern neighbor, up in Victoria, Canada. So check it out. Go to accomplishmentcoaching.com, and we're delighted to have been sponsored by them for 15 years on this here podcast. Okay. Want to talk about things, or you want to have our guest? What do you want to do?
Oh, that's such a tough call. Both and? Can we make that both happen?
Yeah. I don't know what you're doing here with this.
I was trying to pull it up. And
okay. It's over here. It's over here. I apologize, people. We got obviously technical difficulties named Clarice, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, let's talk for a moment about vacation, because here's what happened. Ready? And I'm sure Carl Pickhardt, our guest, will have something to say about this. So I'm a parent, right? And my kids are small, still-ish. They're small. They're 7 and 9. And here's what happens. I get this opportunity to go have a vacation of a lifetime. And you got to know that when I talk about a lifetime, we're talking about first class. I'm talking about Arab Emirates, Emirates Airlines and the double-decker in the business class cabin with the Dom Perignon, going to the Seychelles, the little islands off the coast of Madagascar, where I have what they call a hut, which is 1,000 square feet on the beach, standalone room for me, right? With complete, it's this amazing resort. I'm going to stay there for a week, and then I'm going to come back on Qatar Airlines and spend a night at the Ritz-Carlton in Doha, Qatar, right? Sounds like a great vacation, doesn't it? And I get to do this once a year because my family, the kids and my wife and her family, all go skiing. And I'm not interested in the snow and the cold. Obviously, I'm a beach guy. So I have this opportunity all set up. And then I'm getting like the last few days. I've taken my shots. I've packed everything. And I'm in this place where I don't think it's going to be fun. Like, I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not excited about it. I'm just like, oh, I guess I'll get on the plane. This is not how you should be on that trip, right? So I go and I get some coaching. What? Some coaching. That's right. And what happens? I realize that I've created what a classic lose-lose. On the one hand, if I go, I'm feeling guilty and shamed and sad because I'm a dad and I want to be with my kids. And if I don't go, then I'm dumb because it's a big trip, right? But then I realize, I can use that money and points and miles and stuff another time. So I cancel the whole thing. You gotta wait for it. Ready?
Oh my God, I'm so nervous.
I canceled the whole thing, and it actually isn't that expensive to cancel. Which, thank God, thank you all, the airlines and the hotels and everything. And then I call my bride and I say, the love of my life, the mother of my children, and I say, hey, I'm going to come and join you guys. And, I've given up my fabulous vacation and instead I'm going to come and join you. And she says, don't do that.
Oh, no.
I said, what are you talking about? She said, you coming to the snow from work and giving up that fabulous vacation, you're going to be grumpy. She said, we don't need grumpy. You go find yourself a beach. We'll be home on Friday. Go sit on the beach for a few days and then join us at home. And then you can be with the baseball and the softball games and all the dance routines and all that. You can come back to being super dad, but you need some time on the beach. So I went to the beach.
That is such a beautiful wife. That's awesome.
Right?
I don't know how many people have that in their marriage.
She knows that. She knows. Don't be grumpy. All right, so I'm going to learn a lot, I'm sure, because our guest is an expert in parenting, among other things. Carl Pickhardt, Ph.D., is available. You can find him on the web at Carl, C-A-R-L, Pickhardt, Pickhardt.com. And he's an expert in the area of coaching parents. He's very well educated with a BA from a little place called Harvard, as well as a master in education from Harvard Graduate School of Education, a Ph.D. from University of Texas at Austin. I can't remember if that's Hook'em Horns or not. And, of course, a very widely read blog, the Pickhardt Adolescence blog. We welcome back to our microphones the wonderful Dr. Carl Pickhardt. Hello.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Thanks for listening to all of that. Do you have... The good news is we've taken out some of the commercial breaks, so you won't have to be interrupted. But you're a psychologist, and you provide practical strategies in your writings and with people to help parents effectively cope with the developmental change of their adolescents. But I've just given you a story about a parent who's dealing with, like, I don't know, is that parenting guilt or parenting shoulds or something like that? Do you have anything for me, Doc?
Well, I mean, in general, it's really hard to do. It doesn't mean we don't set ourselves aside very often to meet the needs of our kids, but our kids do need to be a third-order priority. Because number one is taking care of ourselves, and number two, the partnership or marriage, and then number three, the kids. If you put the kids first, you ignore yourself, you ignore the partnership, and the family deteriorates pretty quickly. So you've got to keep, particularly in adolescence, you've got to keep a good, caring, constructive family structure around kids so they have something to rattle around in responsible ways. And also what happens is that in most cases, I think parents tend to find children somewhat more rewarding to parents than parenting adolescents, so that they're going to get, they're going to get less immediate positive feedback from their adolescent than they're likely to get from their kid.
That's very true.
That's really great. I'm super clear. Self, partner, spouse,
And kids.
then kids, right? That's great. Thanks so much for that. What are if you could wave your magic wand, as you have been for years now, and talk to parents of adolescents, what's the one big piece that you would give us? What's the thing that you think most parents of adolescents are either doing wrong or could correct in a short term that would make the biggest difference?
Oh gosh, there are a lot of them. Well, one is, I think, what happens with adolescence is, of course, kids start detaching from childhood and differentiating from childhood, and on both counts, there's going to be more disagreement between parent and adolescent. So the conduct of that disagreement is really important. And a lot of times there are parents who, really don't like the disagreement. They don't think it should be there. And, for example, the thing they just hate is this kid arguing with them, and they just want to shut it down because they say it's not needed and it's not appropriate, it's not respectful.
Right.
And what I try to tell them is that that I think is really not a good decision, because when your kid is arguing with you, they're doing a couple of things that are really important. One is they're speaking up to you, and speaking up to authority is a huge skill that you've got to, your kid has to have when they exit your care. You do not want to graduate a kid from your care who is a shutting up kid.
Oh.
How in God's name are they going to make their way in an adult world? Number one. Number two is that they are your primary informant about their world and what matters to them and what they're concerned with and what they want. And so really the best response to any argument, is, can you tell me more? Can you help me better understand? And if you think that argument is a problem, if you go the other direction, then you got a real problem. You have a shutting up mystery child, and you have no data. The arguing child gives you continual data about what they want, what they don't want, and why. And you need that data, because remember, when the kid goes from child to adolescent, not only do they go from the age of command to the age of consent, where the child felt that they could, they had to do what they're told, and now the adolescent knows that, you can't make me and you can't stop me without my cooperation. And now it's the age of consent, and the kid knows they have, they know they have self-control. They have no illusion about parental authority anymore. But number two, you go from the age of confiding to concealment. Mm-hmm. Where the kid realizes that not only do they have the power of consent, but they've got this huge power of communication, and they know they're the prime informant, so that how adequately and how accurately they inform their parents is up to them, and it's a huge responsibility, and it's a huge shift for parents. How do they find out what's going on? Mm-hmm. And one of the ways that they find out is in disagreement, because the kid is differentiating and experimenting, and there's some disagreement on that, or the kid is detaching and pushing for freedom, and there's some disagreement on that. And you want to be able to turn those encounters into talking points where you can communicate, and you can give your kid a full and fair hearing. A lot of times, the kid who says, you can't make me, you can't stop me, and if the parent will just hear the kid out and give them a full, fair hearing, what happens is the kid, having gotten the hearing out, is then more inclined to go along with what they don't necessarily like. It's the parents who shut down that communication, I think, that tend to get jammed with their kid.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was picking up on that. I think my question is it almost sounds like, do you think that parents need to almost like start listening early and provide that space where a child can actually come and talk to them and they feel that they're being heard and listened to?
Oh, absolutely.
So as to like when
you can get a good habit of of two-way communication in childhood. Mm-hmm. That's huge if you can carry that forward. But I think what happens is, the kid, it's partly the kid's fault and partly the parents' fault. The kid,
it's always the kid's fault at my house.
Privacy and secrecy is freedom when they move into adolescence, and the parent, has a harder time, because they're feeling more frustration, has a harder time listening to that which they don't approve of or they disagree with, so that there is some natural kind of falling off. However, for example, at correction points, if the first response of the parent for something, some misbehavior, is not to address the misbehavior first, but to essentially express concern, are you okay?
Yeah.
And so concern always goes before correction. Oh. And then correction must be non-evaluative, by which I mean that there's no criticism, there's no attacking character. Essentially the mantra is, I disagree with the choice you have made. This is why. This is what I need to have happen differently, and this is what I would wish you would learn. But you focus on choices only. The parent who gets angry and attacks, it's not just that they may do injury with their words, which is one part of it, but the other part of it is so the kid comes in for counseling and he says, I'm grounded again. You say, well, how come you're grounded again? He said, oh, my parents were angry again. Kid totally missed the message.
Yeah.
All he thinks is he's got another upset parent on his hand. He doesn't know why. So that the emotional emotional response of anger in correction generally is not helpful.
Got it. So what I'm curious about is, you seem very passionate about the topic of coaching, parents around adolescence, also coaching and working with, children. What inspired you to do this work?
Oh, well, I've been writing for years. I don't know. This one, I guess I've years ago when I first went into private practice, I had a kind of a fork in the road. At that point, I was writing a column on organizational behavior for what was called the Austin Business Journal, and I was writing a column for the Austin paper, The Statesman, on parenting the teenager. So I had organizational life management going one place and parenting the teenager in the other one, and I felt that I had to make a choice. And what I did was I said, this seems like a richer load for me to mine, and so I kind of went that direction. I don't know, it's just, it's like anything else. Once you get into any area of human behavior, the deeper you get in, the more interesting it gets.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the more you learn, the less you know. And then if you're in counseling or you're doing coaching, what you realize is that you are in this hugely privileged position where you are paid for strangers to teach you about life. And it's amazing. Somebody walks in the door and you've never seen them before, you know nothing about them, and all of a sudden, they tell you about yet one more life that's different from any other life you've ever heard of. And it's hugely educational. And then you try, or at least, you try to, based upon, your general knowledge, you try to give them something back to help them figure out whatever is causing them concern. But it's so I guess I started writing parenting books because when I went into private practice, I lost my job as a consultant at what was called the Education Service Center, working with schools, and I didn't know. I had a wife and 2 kids at home, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do, and I had some friends in private practice, and I went around and I talked to them, and I thought that might be an option.
Well,
and,
yeah, we
and one of the guys I talked to, Tom, said, "Well, of course you have to have a specialty." And I said, "Oh, really? What is there one you recommend?" I mean, literally.
That's when you created the niche, yeah.
I said, "Well, I see a lot of parents having issues with teenagers." True. I said, "Well, sounds good to me."
I like the part where you equated the work you were doing in organizations with the work that you were doing with teenagers, because I think that we see that a lot, right? We're pretty much astounded regularly as coaches and therapists and leaders at how juvenile some of us are acting and how seminal, how basic the responses are, right? So when we get in a conflict, we kind of want to go call our mommy or find somebody who's going to either make it okay or go punish the wrong people, right?
Well, yeah, and once you get in organizations, you get all kinds of quasi-parental dynamics because boss is your parent, and your peer is your sibling, and your subordinate is your child.
Right.
And once again, you naturally fall into those roles, or you were treated, in those roles by the other people.
Right, and you got the same dynamics of caring and concealment and all those things.
Right. Yeah, that's right. And also, how do you get your subordinate to do what you want?
Exactly.
Or to do it the way that you want.
Which is, yeah.
So, and how do you correct a subordinate?
Now, I want to go a little bit of a different direction, because as an only child myself, I was interested that you've created something called the Only Child Project. Will you tell us a bit about that?
I don't know that. I've written a couple of books on only children.
Uh-huh.
I wrote one on the future of your only children, and then before that I wrote one on keys to parenting your only child. I don't know. I don't think I've done a project that way, but I've written a lot about it, because that's a special only child is somewhat of a special case, because it's a very high intensity relationship. It's not a laid back relationship.
Right.
Because everybody's really invested in doing the best they can for the other person, and so it's not a kind of a casual thing, and the attachment tends to be very strong, and the similarity tends to be fairly strong, so that the problems of detachment and differentiation very often those issues can be delayed. A lot of only children delay adolescence until a little later. So rather than enter it around 9 to 13, they may wait even until the high school years before they start doing that process, because they find it scary or painful, or they just want to hold on to, what is a really special, good feeling relationship, and and they don't want to, they don't want to stress that connection.
Yeah. I would point out from my own experience, which may be, pretty one-sided, that in the only child relationship, not only does it create a triangle in the home, but in a only child single parent situation, then you've got this sort of, I'm assuming mostly unhealthy, getting your needs met from each other in some odd ways, right? Which can set up, I assume, some things in the future that are the seeds for unhealthy relationships.
Well, I guess if the child has a kind of a merged supportive relationship with a distressed parent for any period of time, that's likely to, at least at some point, to raise its head in adult intimacy later on. And so there probably needs to be some redrawing of boundaries at that point.
Absolutely.
The only child relationship is hugely powerful, because it's. There's a woman at UT who's done most of the research on only children, and one of the things that almost always tends to show up in the comparative studies is that only children tend to have very high esteem because they're full of themselves, and they also achieve fairly highly. Because they want to do well for themselves.
That's right, people.
And so it's very empowering. The one that she doesn't mention, which I notice all the time, which is a huge gift of being an only child, is that only children tend to peer with adults. And because of that, their ability to get along and communicate with adults is really enhanced. So they don't have a problem, approaching an adult authority. And that's a big gift.
Yeah, that sounds like it's a really big one.
Yeah.
So I was kind of curious. I saw on your website that you have an adolescence blog with over 4.5 million reads.
Yeah, it's just over 5 million now. Yeah, wow. I know. I was very surprised. You never know. I mean, I've been doing it for a while, but I think there is a real hunger for people parenting adolescents, because they know that this is not the same as parenting a child. They know in some ways an adolescent is not a child. This is not Kansas anymore. That's what Dad had a wonderful statement. The wheels have come off the truck. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, they're floundering for some kind of information, and that's really what I try to do. Is I try to help parents essentially keep up with their adolescent by staying ahead of the growth curve, and so I try to help them anticipate future changes to come, and also the sequence of changes that tend to unfold, because although adolescence is a confusing process, I think basically it's a lawful one, so that certain conflicts and changes unfold in a relatively orderly way. So, for example, when you get to mid-adolescence, say 13 to 15, maybe around middle school, you get kids forming a family of friends, and you tend to get, more self-consciousness from puberty and more peer pressure to conform and fit in. And now you get the kid who's really, all of a sudden the parent says, well, I don't understand it. When my child was so, giving, and now my middle school kid is so self-centered. And that's true. The kid is a hugely intense period of growth with a huge amount to deal with. So that rather than take the self-centeredness personally, if they can see that as part of the process, then what happens is rather than blaming the kid for a developmental change over which they have no control, they hold the kid accountable for the choices they make as they are going through that change.
Beautiful.
And that's very important. So the kid comes home and they've had a lousy day at school and nobody would sit with them at lunch, and they're kind of angry and hurt, and they start taking it out on a younger kid.
Right.
And the parent says, hey, that's not okay. If you've had a bad day, I'm happy to hear what happened to you, and I'm sorry you had a hard day, but you can't use family members as a whipping post just because you're unhappy.
Nice.
So you try to honor the kids' feelings, but you try to also educate them in terms of how to manage those feelings in a safe and healthy way.
Well, Dr. Pickhardt, as always, it's been great having you. Our time has flown by. The website, again, is Carl Pickhardt. That's CarlPickhardt.com. Is there something, we got just about 20 seconds left, is there something you'd like to leave us with today as a parting thought or a parting shot?
Yeah, I think so. I think, I love, our four kids are grown, but I love adolescence because it's the privilege that a parent has of seeing a girl grow into young womanhood and a boy grow into young manhood. And that is a wonderfully exciting transformation, and being part of that is terrific.
It is indeed. Thank you so much. We'll be back with more right after these words.
Hi, Mary. Our growth has me looking for new furniture, but I can't find the right vendor. Can you help?
For sure.
Do you know a company that will give me a great value?
For sure.
Do you know a company that provides great selection?
For sure.
Do you know a company that is professional and responsive?
For sure, it's Shore. Shore Office Warehouse has been providing great value, service, and selection for over 40 years. It's Shore, for sure. ShoreOfficeWarehouse.com.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, CEO and founder of VinVillage.com and the Wine and Dine Show on Vin Village Radio. Do you have a wine, event, product, or service to promote? Then contact VinVillage.com to reach thousands of wine lovers across the country. VinVillage connects like-minded wine enthusiasts with unique and exclusive wines, events, products, and services. To learn more, contact us on VinVillage.com. VinVillage is where wine lovers connect.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
Gotham Books presents Marriage Rules by Harriet Lerner. The book Martha Beck calls required reading for anyone hoping to interact successfully with any other human, not just for those in romantic relationships. Get your copy wherever books and ebooks are sold, and visit harrietlerner.com to learn how to change your marriage today.
Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
Accomplishment Coaching is proud to present the following fine programming. Accomplishment Coaching, where coaches lead and leaders coach. AccomplishmentCoaching.com.
Welcome back to the Coaching Show with your host, Master Certified Coach Christopher McAuliffe.
Thank you very much. I'm just looking through the website of our next guest, which is probably, not the best thing for me to do, I don't think. The voice that's not mine
is mine. I'm Clarice Connolly. I am a women's empowerment coach in San Diego. I'm currently fighting a cold, so pardon me as I nasal my way through this. I work with women who are just looking to put themselves back on their priority list, who've just frustrated with life and really just down and out about continuing to beat themselves up and things just not going the way they want. So I just love picking women up and putting them back on the top of their list and working through what it is that they want to get out of life.
And your role, because you got to know your role, people, know your role, is she's here as an in-studio guest co-host today. And that's why you're listening to Clarice Connolly. How can people find you?
You can find me on heartandsoul.coach. And I have empoweredwomen.coach coming up quick.
Nice. Also a new show of your own called
Empowering Women. It's the first and third Friday at 8 a.m. every month. This Friday at 8 a.m.
Your voice does sound different. Okay.
I know, I'm struggling.
All right, let's get to it. One of the things that we love about being a media partner with the International Coach Federation is that regularly on this program, and sometimes like this month, more than once a month, we get to have a bigwig, somebody who's a big deal doing something important in the world of coaching, and with the International Coach Federation, join us. We have, our next guest is such a person. He has more than 30 years of business experience, 20 years of executive leadership practice, and 5 years being part of and leading the global board of the world's largest professional coaching association. That's the International Coach Federation. Dave Wondra is with us, and he brings an extraordinary skill set to senior executives who seek transformational change, as well as a wide variety of interests, including, and you've got to love this, not only does he deal with practice to performance and executives and transformational change, but jazz trumpet, prairie restoration, and global travel. We're delighted to welcome him back to our microphones, Dave Wondra. Hello, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
We're well, thanks. Thanks for being with us. Look around outside. Where do you find yourself today?
Well, I'm in Minneapolis.
A beautiful place.
And of course, there's a little snow on the ground.
a little bit,
yeah.
In
March
March 1st.
A little bit, yeah.
Dave, you are also the founder and progenitor of the Wondra Group, where people can find you on the web. Is it wondragroup.com? Is that right?
That's right, yep. That's my website.
Okay, so if people want to know more information about the work that you do. But I think we're here today to talk a little bit about the ICF Foundation. Will you tell us about it? What is the ICF Foundation?
Well, if I were to sum it up, it's really about igniting social progress through coaching. And this is something that has been really building now for a while. And actually, one of our trustees is Sir John Whitmore, and he's fond of saying coaching is much bigger than coaching. And that coaches are really at the forefront of a way of being that the world needs to get to, where the core theme is really compassion for all people and caring for nature.
Yeah.
And, I also think about the person that I learned coaching from a really long time ago, and that was Frederick Hudson from the Hudson Institute.
Mm-hmm.
And several years ago, I was talking with him about the state of coaching, and at that time, he said that he was disappointed in what had happened with coaching, because from way back in the 80s, he saw coaching as something that could really enable social progress, and at that point, he just didn't see it was happening yet. Well, I'm here to tell you it's happening now.
Yeah, it is. I love that.
And go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just commenting.
Well, yeah. So it's really starting to develop all around the world. So now we have the foundation, and the foundation is really a supporting organization of the ICF. Its focus is really in three core areas. It's providing pro bono coaching, research, and also providing access to coach training for communities that are underserved. So that's kind of the core area that we have our focus. As we look way out into the future, well, I guess not that far. When we think about a frame of, right now we're aiming at 2030, that by then we really want to be creating new and different approaches to help people reach their goals, not only equip individuals, but also organizations and systems to help them learn how to have different kind of influence over their environments, and then just overall helping people learn more about how to navigate their living and how to build self-awareness and their own responsibility. So that's kind of some of the big stuff that we're thinking about now as we're doing our work with the foundation.
Okay, so this is an important thing for people to know, because we think of the ICF, especially the website, as something that's for us. We can get information there, we can put our information there so other people can find out more about coaching. But the ICF Foundation, it sounds like a really different piece. Now, is this a 501c3 not-for-profit organization thing that you've created?
Yes, it's not-for-profit, and the important thing to know is, so technically it's called a supporting organization, which just simply means that everything that we do is connected with ICF Global. And one of the goals of ICF Global is to really get to the point where the coaching way of living is really out with as many people as possible. Because those of us that have gone through our own coach training know that it's much more than a skill set. It's just a way of learning how to manage change for ourselves. And as we look to what would really help us in the world, imagine if all of us knew how to do this for ourselves. So it is a nonprofit charity, supports ICF strategic goals, and our mission will always be aligned with ICF Global.
Yeah, but I guess what I was pointing to is people can donate to this. People and organizations can donate to this. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You can accept those donations
actually,
now? Yeah?
Yeah. Our funding comes from ICF members all around the world, and it comes throughout the year. And actually, when people re-up their membership with ICF, there's an opportunity even there to make donations to the foundation if they choose.
Okay, and how do we do that? Because we choose, right?
Yeah, if you choose, it actually can be done online when renewing membership, or just going directly to our website for more information, and that's foundationoficf.org.
Very important, foundationoficf.org.
Yeah.
Okay, this is so important, and I appreciate your laid-back approach to this, but people need to give money so that we can do good in the world with coaching. And I love your distinction about coaching versus coach training and how important coach training is, because for most of us it's a watershed moment. It's a life transformation as well as that. Anything, and who leads this? It sounds like you're in charge, but who else have you got over there? You're hanging out with Sir John Whitmore. Who else is involved?
Well, there are 9 people that are part of the Board of Trustees. And here's something else important to know, not all are coaches, because we want to look much more broadly at this. Matter of fact, our president of our foundation is a woman named Paula Cushing, and she's director of sales learning over at IBM. And one thing that is common among all of us is we all have passion for ways that we can really influence literally the world.
Yeah, that's so amazing. That's so beautiful to listen to.
All right, let's talk about some of the things. So, what about lowly coaches who are not the director of anything over at IBM? How can we participate in the ICF Foundation, or do you want us to?
Yes, we do. Now, there are some. This is the first year that we're going after launching a global initiative. And here's I'll tell you a story about what brought about my interest in joining the foundation. I spent about 5 years as part of the ICF Global Board. And as part of that, I did a lot of speaking all around the world, different chapters, different gatherings. And I would often close my time with talking about the difference that we can make in terms of social progress. And inevitably, after I'd finish, people would come up to me and they would tell me about, here's one thing that I'm doing with the group in my community, and here's something that I'm doing over here. While it was very heartening for me to hear that, at the same time, I had some frustration, because knowing that we have, about 30,000 members around the world, we're in 140 countries, it felt scattered to me. Like we were out there, and I'm sure having impact in little pockets around the world, though very scattered. So what I started to imagine is what would be possible if we could, for example, get 5,000 coaches, 5,000 of our members focused on one initiative. Or what would happen if we had one theme that all of the 125 chapters around the world and all of the other members are all working on the same thing. So to me, it's about large-scale impact and how we might do something like that. Now, in terms of this initiative that I brought up, as we've talked in the foundation about what are our organizing principles, we have learned about an initiative of the UN. They've developed a set of 17 goals to transform the world, and they're sustainable development goals.
Right.
And they're areas like zero hunger, no poverty, quality education, gender equality, just different areas. And we've settled on education as a starting theme. And in 3 weeks, we're going to have all the leaders from all the chapters around the world gathered in Warsaw, Poland. And at that meeting, we'll begin the work of this global initiative, and we'll see how it goes.
Great. So what is that initiative?
Yeah, I was just going to say, how do we find more about that?
Well, that one is going to be focused on education. And what we'll be talking with chapters about is really how to find a focus on the subject of education in the local communities. So it'll be something along those lines, and it's really under development right now. The launch will be coming soon, so there'll be more details to come on how to go about this, and we will certainly be talking about it around the system.
Yeah, great. We are so excited about that. Now, our time is flying by here. I know you've also created something called Gift of Coaching. What is the Gift of Coaching Award?
Well, even though we're now starting on large-scale projects, work on providing pro bono coaching has been going on for some time. So we are recognizing ICF chapters that are doing impactful work. So we have 2 awards. One's called the Gift of Coaching. It recognizes a chapter for a single impactful nonprofit partnership where pro bono coaching is at the center. Culture of Giving Award is for a chapter that has a portfolio of nonprofit initiatives that they're working on, and to also recognize their ongoing commitment to the foundation ideals.
Okay, so both for chapters. One is for an individual initiative, and another is for a history, or I like your word, portfolio of pro bono initiatives. So you're really serious about getting coaching out to the underserved or the people that traditionally we don't think of as customers for coaching. That's extraordinary. Extraordinary work. And how can people support these initiatives or find out more? People want to get involved. How can we do it?
Well, one way is actually through connecting with local chapters if a member happens to be affiliated with a chapter. The other thing to know, Christopher, is we're really now working. This is our first large-scale global project, so we have a lot of learning to do. on how to get this done in a way that's going to be effective. So people can find out more through their local chapter, of course, by going to foundationoficf.org. We will have updates there. So those are a couple of the primary ways, and then we will certainly be putting out more information as it becomes available for how people can sign up and get involved.
Great. Well, thank you so much for the important work that you're doing. Let's take a moment and talk about the Wondra group so that people know what your day job is, so to speak. What are you guys doing and taking on over at the Wondra group, which, of course, is wondragroup.com. That's WONDRA group, GROUP.com.
Well, the focus is really executive development. That's been in my DNA for a long time. And the other thing about this is, you mentioned some of my other interests. The longest practice I have in my life is I've been playing trumpet for a little over 45 years. And when I started my business 12 years ago, I was just, thinking about how I'm going to form this business. And as I paid attention to myself as a musician, I started to notice how I used practice to make adjustments to how I performed. And it was always a situation where, I never had the time to, stop all my performing and change something and then go back to performing. Well, as I paid attention to that, I realized that in the same way that I use practice in music to continue to hone my skill, my ability, that also ported over really nicely to my work. So when I talk about practice for performance, there's a big difference between knowing what to do and actually doing it. So I help my clients create learning practices that they can attach to activities that are already on the calendar, so they get more value for their time and they really get learning that lasts. So this approach I find is really successful for people that are very busy and need to get the most out of their learning time.
That's really great.
So that's really at the core of my work.
That makes me think of that quote, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And that's so brilliantly like what you're exactly talking to, is how you practice for music is how you can actually practice in other areas of life too.
And if we think we don't have practices, try changing up your routine in the morning.
Right.
Or, when you're driving around a curve on the highway, tilt your head the other way.
Right. We don't surprise ourselves usually with our morning routine, right? You're not in the shower like, I wonder what I'm going to do next. No, everything goes in order. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering, since the Gift of Coaching Awards.
Oh, yeah, let's go back to the Gift of Coaching Awards, right?
Yeah, so I'm just so intrigued about that. So do you think that those people also, too, have that practice? Or how did you decide to get started with that?
Say more about your question.
So I apologize. So I was looking at the practicing for performance, and I was also very interested in the Gift of Coaching Awards. And so I was just wondering, where you got started with wanting to award people for gifting coaching.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? It's really to recognize the good. What I would say, at least two reasons. One is to recognize the good work out there. But here's the second one: is there's so much that we can learn from each other in the system all around the world. So it's also meant to provide a way for others to see examples. Because, for example, the awards that were the inaugural ones for last year, we have case studies on our website that talk about the projects so that people can see in more detail. Because for Gift of Coaching, the winner last year was ICF Raleigh, North Carolina.
Wow. Okay.
And what they did is they partnered with the North Carolina Center for Nonprofits, and that organization gives services to actually more than 1,500 nonprofits in North Carolina. And the agreement that the local chapter had with that organization is that members would deliver up to 5 hours of pro bono coaching to executives and senior leaders from member organizations. And so they have a number of coaches that are serving executives in those organizations. And honorable mention, this was a very unique one. Honorable mention went to ICF Central Florida, and they had a partnership with the University of Tampa Sykes College of Business, and they were providing workshops to help students on personal professional development.
Oh, I want to go there now. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, anyone that went to the workshop got to work with a coach, so it worked out well.
Oh, that's awesome, right? I would love to do that. Can you imagine? And all the underserved communities. Man, I love the work that you're doing, Dave Wondra. Thank you for this. And thanks for the opportunity for all chapters to be able to make a difference in their communities and for all coaches to make a difference in our communities. You mentioned the website, and I want to just send people back to it. But when you talk about the website, you mean the foundationoficf.org. Is that right?
That's right. There is a detailed set of case studies that gives a lot of background on the award winners, that really some good guidance for any chapters that are interested in pursuing a program.
And is there a link from the main ICF website, or do you have to know about this ultra-secret website?
The foundation is also listed on the big one. So you'll see it there as well. There's a link that'll take you to the foundation.
Great. And you guys have a board of trustees. Is there an opportunity for other people to contribute to the organization itself, or do you just want us to go out and do work in our local backyards?
Well, we also are putting together groups of other people that are serving as ambassadors that are interested in supporting the work of the foundation. So that's something else that is new this year. We already selected a group of ambassadors that will be helping with this work. And so anyone who has an interest, go to the website, send a note. By the way, we have one full-time employee, Amy Frisney, who's our director, and she is interested in hearing from anyone who has an interest in joining in our work. So I'm very excited about the potential for our impact.
Me too.
If we were sitting here a year from now, celebrating what a great year it's been for you in this role in the ICF Foundation, what did we achieve together?
You know, we'd be talking about our successful large-scale impact that we have in the area of education.
Talking my language.
We also plan to measure this. So we're going to see what we can do about actually tracking the impact we have. We'll also be talking about the learning we had from our first project. And at that point, we'll be well into conversations about how to get started in supporting access to coach training for underserved communities, because that one is next on the list.
So I love that you said education, and I was talking to the leaders of our longtime sponsors here, Accomplishment Coaching, the other day, and they're doing something cool in education that I don't know is on yours or anybody else's radar, because they're just doing it internally, where they're offering scholarships, full ride scholarships for coach training to a couple of educators, local educators in each of the cities where they have a program. So that's their contribution to education. And I'll bet if we got the word out, there are a bunch more people that are doing cool things in education. Is the foundation an opportunity for people to share about projects that they're up to as well, or is it just mostly letting people know about what the foundation's up to?
No, sharing about projects as well, because that's really important.
And inspiring.
That's the other thing I learned when I was on my travels is there's so much that we can learn from each other. So that is something that we'll continue to work on, is how to build the web among us.
Nice. Well, our time has flown by, and Dave Wondra, thank you so much for being with us, but of course, thank you for the work you're doing in the world, not only through the magic of your jazz trumpeting and prairie restoration, but of course, through the Wondra Group, right, which you can find online at wondragroup.com, and of course, the ICF Foundation, which we're delighted to find out about. You can go again to the website, which is foundationoficf.org, or find the link on the coachfederation.org website. Dave, thanks so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for the chat.
Great to talk to him. Well, I learned something today. How about you?
I learned a lot of things. It was awesome.
Well, it's great to be back, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks for listening.
Your search for the right office furniture will be done when you walk into Shore for sure. In our 46,000 square foot warehouse, you are sure to find the right new or used desk and chair for your home and office. Trusted for over 40 years, Shore is proven to provide great value, quality, and service. From free space planning to our white glove delivery service, you are sure to leave happy and satisfied. We're a family-owned business that will treat you like family for sure. Se habla español.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
Hi, Scale listener. This is David Finkel, co-host with Jeff Hoffman of Scale Your Business. I wanted to let you know that our newest book, Scale, was just released, and to encourage you to get your copy. The book will give you 7 proven principles to grow your business and get your life back. Scale will help you work less by getting your business to produce more. Get your copy online or at your local bookseller. For more information, visit us online at scaleyourbusinesstoolkit.com.
Cybersecurity is the fastest growing job sector. The San Diego Mayor's Cyber Cup encourages kids to consider computer security as an interesting course of study and a valuable career path. Securing Our eCity helps lead this youth competition to create interest and awareness among students and their schools. The San Diego Mayor's Cyber Cup. Learn more at securingourecity.org or call 619-630-2444.
Do you love wine, but it doesn't love you back in the morning? Then it's time to try Alcotox, the ultimate hangover cure. Alcotox is a dietary supplement that reduces the harmful side effects of alcohol, and it benefits all alcohol consumers, not just those who occasionally overindulge. So now, for less than the cost of a drink, you can wake up hangover-free. To learn more, go to vinvillage.com and let Alcotox make hangovers a thing of the past.
You may have heard me brag about Progressive Medical Center and just how much they've helped me with my health. And Dr. Goley, one thing that you have helped so many people with is migraines.
Unfortunately, there are millions and millions of Americans who are suffering with migraines and headaches, and they're debilitating because it affects the quality of their life, and they cannot function properly. At Progressive, we get the root cause because we understand that migraines could be caused by nutritional deficiencies, hormonal imbalances, believe it or not, delayed food sensitivities. And once we determine what the real reason is, we put a plan of action together with medication that we get them off slowly, and we put them on an all-natural approach, and the results are amazing.
Incredible. I mean, there's so many people that can say they don't live their lives with migraines anymore thanks to Progressive Medical Center.
And that's what's exciting and rewarding to us as physicians, because we help our patients take control of their health, and that's why they're living well.
Why don't you get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today? Don't live in pain. Don't have migraines anymore. Just go to their website, progressivemedicalcenter.com.
This is your life. Live it.